our call today. And Matt has to be gone by 12:30. So I want to be respectful of Matt's time and have us just jump into the state of the market. But for those of you, most of you on here, I feel like I know and I've been on our weekly calls. But if you do not know Matt, Matt is a phenomenal real estate broker in St. Charles, does all St. Charles, St. Louis area, even does stuff in Lake of the Ozarks now, right, Matt?
Lake of the Ozarks, Columbia, Mark Twain Lake. Yep.
All over.
All over.
But Matt is the broker for Magnolia Real Estate. If you all do not know Magnolia Real Estate, look them up, reach out to Matt. I cannot emphasize enough in this market to have a quality agent and a quality brokerage. So if you don't have one, reach out to Matt. He can find the best fit for you out of his team. So anyways, Matt's going to just kind of give us a little bit of update on where we are starting the real estate market as of the beginning of 2024. So yeah. Matt, I'm just going to pass it over to you.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys. I appreciate you having me. I always love talking to this group and seeing all the familiar faces and people we know. Market wise, we're in a much better spot starting January than we were coming into December and November. November for our market just really started to slow down. We saw the brakes really start to hit. Days on market started ticking up, and then we started to see this breakthrough with interest rates, and interest rates start to tumble. And that, when I say tumble, where they're not dropping back to the fours, but getting that interest rate to go back down has been huge for us, and so that's really been a huge factor of what we saw at the end of December and starting January. Was we saw a lot of people go under contract the last week of December, which is crazy. We were processing contracts the week of Christmas, which normally we don't do anything the week of Christmas. And so we had buyers out there that were getting a little bit better interest rate, and the stuff that was on the market for a little bit that, they went out and, were able to pick up. So, that's kind of where I want to start, is with the interest rate. So, speaking with some of our lenders this morning, and last night, your 30-year fixed is roughly coming in somewhere around 7% right now. So a couple months ago, we were closing deals at 8.25. And when you look at a $250,000 loan with 5% down, conventional for your buyers out there, at 8% on that, just the principal and interest payment is $1,742. Or around that $1,750 mark. And that's for a $250,000 house. When you drop it from 8% to 7%, or even to get 6.5%, it takes it down to $1,500 a month. So now it's giving them that padding again for the escrows and the taxes and insurance to keep them under that 2,000 mark when we get it back down to that 7%. So 7% is great. There's a lot of different things that go into the interest rates. Everybody says, well, what's the rate at today? Well, the rate's different for a little bit of everybody. And so one thing that's out there that a lot of the buyers can look at and talk to their loan officers about is the loan level pricing adjustments that can be made and can really affect the pricing on those. So one thing that we're doing a lot with our buyers right now in this market is we're making sure that they're shopping their rates, they're talking to different lenders, they're talking to different options that are out there to see if these loan level price adjustments can help them. We closed one yesterday at 6.65. And that was not a buy down. That was the rate that they got with the loan level pricing adjustment from their lender. So that's good. I think we're going to be below 7%, as our average, in the high sixes here real soon, which is great news for anybody that's buying or selling. So that's going to help out tremendously. 15-year fixed rates are sitting right around the 6% to 6.4% rate. So if you're able to lock in a 15-year rate, you're down at that 6% mark, which is good too. So interest rates changing and evolving and dropping is perfect, and that's going to help our market moving forward. We're already starting to set up a strong January, strong February in our region, and part of that is because we're seeing a few more houses hit the market. And we're getting a little bit more inventory. So the next big issue we've been dealing with for the last 2 years, it seems like, has been inventory. We haven't had houses. And for you guys that are flipping, That's phenomenal, because when you put up a house, you know, you've got a ton of buyers that are out there looking at it. So just want to talk a little inventory. Right now, the sweet spot still is, I mean, if you want to sell something in a matter of hours, 250 and under in St. Charles County is crazy still. There's still tons of demand for that market. In St. Charles County, just talking numbers, active listings in October of 2022, we had 707 active listings. In October of last year, we had 876 active listings. Same for November, went up from 693 to 843, and December went up from 602 to 768. So a couple hundred more houses out there and available for the buyers that are there, but still not nearly enough. Even with those increased numbers of seeing a few more active listings hitting the market, days on market in October remain the same year over year, 6 days on market for average. November, we went from 7 days to 6 days. So 7 days on the market in 2022 to 6 days in 2023. And then December, we saw those interest rates really pounding us. And it went from 9 days on market to 11 days on market for St. Charles County. Now, when you flip over to St. Louis County, numbers are a little bit different. A lot more houses over there. But in December, in St. Louis County, 1,344 houses in 2022 versus 1,442. So an extra 100 houses on the market year over year. Days on market, St. Louis County, 16 versus 18 days on market. So a little bit longer sitting on the market. 18 days was the average on market time for St. Louis County in December of just last month. So seeing that go up, months of inventory, we've actually busted through 2 months of inventory in St. Charles County. So a good, strong market, a healthy market is about 4 to 6 months of inventory that are out there. So we're still at 2, and we're excited about 2. You know, most people are like, you know, we want to see 3, 4, 5. Well, I'm excited to see 2, because year over year we were at 1.37 months on market, or months of inventory. Months of inventory, St. Louis County, we're not even to 1.5 months of inventory in St. Louis County. We still don't have enough houses over there, to say the least. Total sales for last year, in 2022, total houses sold in St. Charles County, 6,153. We ended 2023 at 5,268. So sold about 1,000 houses less. And part of that's because we just didn't have the inventory. We have the buyers, but no inventory. St. Louis County, we dropped about 1,000 as well. Sold almost 15,000 in 2022. Only going to close about 13,600 in 2023. So those numbers could change a little bit, but that's kind of where we're sitting there. So still a huge lack of inventory. Interest rates are getting better. Should mean that if you've got a house to sell at the beginning of 2024, it's going to be a great time to sell. If you sat on something through the Christmas holiday and New Year's, and you're looking to list it, you know, here in the next couple of weeks, I think you're in a good spot to list it. Want to give you a quick case study from a St. Charles County listing we put up. So threw a house on the market the week after Christmas. We went live, I think, on the 26th or 27th. It's a 1,100 square foot ranch off Jung Station Road. Complete grandma's house on the inside. Everything needs to be updated. It's on a slab. Now it is on almost a half acre. It's a corner lot that butts up against Jung Station. Our recommendation was to try to list it around 150, 160. The sellers inherited it. They wanted to put it at 180. And I thought, okay, we'll go 180. And I mean, inside it doesn't even have central HVAC. So no central HVAC. It's, you know, it needs some love. We put it up at 180. Within 48 hours, we had 8 offers. Our offers ranged, probably a couple of you on this call were a couple of those offers. We started at offers at 120 was the first offer that came in. And our offers went all the way up to $210,000 to buy an 1,100 square foot ranch that's a total rehab with no central HVAC. And sold it in 48 hours. We ended up not taking the 210 offer. The seller chose to take a lower offer, not much lower, but a little bit lower. That was an as-is offer, and they're going to close it in like 3 weeks. So for an 1,100 square foot slab in St. Charles County. But the reason for the craziness was it's a house under $200,000 in St. Charles County, which is hard to find. That's not a condo or a villa. So that's where that's all going. Yeah, Mike, what do you got?
Hey, I just got a question. Maybe you know, maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Was that an investor or was it a consumer?
It's an owner occupant that ended up buying it.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
Yep.
Owner
Makes
occupant.
sense.
And that's where the struggle was with that one, was because it needed a full rehab. We had, we had offers starting at 120, going up to 210. Everything that was at asking price or over was an owner occupant that wanted to put the sweat equity in it and get a house for under 200,000. So, we had a bunch of investors that really wanted that house, including myself. And but I was, we're not going to pay 200,000 for it. Now, we did have some investors that were using one comp in the area. There was another slab that sold for $266,000 rehabbed, which was a crazy comp. I don't think it's a very good comp. And so they were offering close to the 180 asking price, thinking they could flip it and sell it for 266, 270. And there's no way. But so owner occupant. So again, if you can pick up anything that you can resell in St. Charles County for under 250 and make money on it, it's going to be a hot property, just like it has been for the past couple of years. So those are things to look at. The other thing I wanted to mention too is be very, very, very careful with any type of property that you're going to purchase that is a condo or a townhouse or anything with an HOA. One thing that we have seen over and over again in the last 6 to 8 months are all of these HOAs are having to raise the dues by a lot. We've seen, so I've got one let's see, it's called Forum West Condos is the name of it. It's at Olive and 141. The condo association fee is based on the size of your unit. And so the largest unit in there, their condo fee at the beginning of last year was $540,000. Or I'm sorry, $540 a month was their fee. Effective January 1st, the fee is $750 a month for the HOA. And that's a house payment for most people. So now nobody in there can get rid of these things because everybody's got to take on an $850 or $800 a month HOA fee. So if you are looking to buy, flip, or hold a condo that has an HOA fee, make sure you're doing your due diligence to find out what that HOA fee looks like. When was the last time it was increased? Most of the increases are coming from increased insurance costs. And a lot of that insurance cost is coming because they have not done upgrades to those complexes. The chapter 1, right down the street from our building here, 94 and 40. Chapter 1 decided not to raise the monthly rate because they did that last year in anticipation for it. So their fees are already at $450 a month. Now, instead of raising it again, they've slapped a $2,500 special assessment that will happen twice this year. So you're going to have $5,000 in special assessments that happen this year just so that they don't have to raise those rates again. So be very, very careful with that. And the other thing I will tell you is that if you do get something and you know that there is going to be a change, even if you don't know what that change is, make sure that as a seller on those, you are disclosing upfront that you know that there's a change that's coming. Even if we don't know what that change is, disclose on that. Right now, I've got 2 cases that are going to go to court that we've got attorney letters out because buyers are mad because they found out there's new fees and special assessments that the seller knew about. So make sure you're aware of those and doing your due diligence on those, or your agent is. The other thing I will say is if you are in the market for new construction or any other type of new construction for the first time in probably 3 or 4 years, we're seeing builders offering discounts and offering free upgrades and offering to do buy downs for your rates. We haven't seen builders giving any concessions in 3 or 4 years. And so the builders had a very cold winter, or they're having a very cold winter. And so they're looking to try to build that market. So if you know anybody in the market for, a new construction home, make sure they know they've got a little negotiating power now that they haven't had in 3 or 4 years. So just something to think about there. And then the last thing I had on my list, and I can take some questions, is bigger projects, bigger rewards. One of the things that we've seen, and Suzanne's probably like, oh, don't say that. No, no big projects. No. And I'm not saying bigger projects like foundations are crumbling, let's jack it up and rebuild the foundation. I'm saying bigger houses, bigger projects. Some of the biggest returns we've seen for some of our investor clients have been on higher end deals in higher end neighborhoods where they're spending a little bit more. They're buying a $400,000 or $500,000 house to rehab, turning around and selling it for 7 or 8, and making a heck of a profit on it. We've been seeing that quite a bit. We still have that huge lack of inventory, especially in some of those higher end subdivisions. You know, if you can pick something up that's got a 4th or 5th bedroom in it, that's phenomenal. We don't have enough of those right now. So don't be afraid of those bigger projects and try and take those on. If you do take them on, also give them some character. You know, don't just make it all gray and white, guys. People are done with it. Give it something that makes it pop a little bit. Gray and white's fine, but give it a little character, and it's gonna go a long ways. And you don't have to spend a ton of money to give it that character. Yeah, Mike.
Matt, any news on St. Louis City?
So St. Louis City numbers have been about similar to where they've been in the past. We have seen a little bit of a price increase go up. We've seen some better numbers coming out of there. Days on market are still dragging. If you take something in the city now, just like, you know, the city is very neighborhood by neighborhood, and you guys know that. Some of those neighborhoods are still going to roll very quickly. But as you're looking at those, make sure you know what neighborhood you're in. Talk to your agents first, and see what the days on market for those are looking like, so you can factor your holding costs. You know, some of those, it could be 2 blocks off, but it's going to sit for 30 days instead of 10 days. You know, so really be prepared for that. Know what those markets are. It's crucial down the city.
Thank you.
Yep. But outside of that, guys, you know, we're looking at a positive forecast for the beginning of this year. Interest rates are going to help us out tremendously. We're going to move some houses. I don't see much of a price decrease at all. I think it's going to, you know, some areas have plateaued. We haven't really seen much go down. A lot of, you know, if you've seen the price decreases on the market, most of those were started too high. It's because they saw some crazy comp out there that they thought they would get for theirs, and they just overshot. So if your agent really digs into those prices and digs into the comps, you shouldn't see those price reductions. But don't look at one house that sold for $50,000 more than the rest of them and think that's what you're going to get, because that's where you're seeing those price decreases coming.
I also feel like, Matt, it's the finished work too. I have
100%.
people who they're listed close to where they should be, but they didn't do good finish work.
And
or
that's
where
the
they
thing.
should be for that price range.
It's just like when I was on here a couple months ago, Suzanne, you know, it's a year and a half ago, people didn't even vacuum their carpets. They put a sign in the front yard and the house sold and it smelled and nobody cared because money was cheap, and money's not cheap anymore. So if I, you know, instead of getting a $1,100 mortgage payment, now I'm getting an $1,800 or $1,900 mortgage payment. And, you know, we have a client who's buying her first townhouse, and she bought it for $218,000 with her interest rate, the HOA fee, everything, for a 1,100 square foot townhouse in Lake St. Louis. Her monthly payment is $2,200 a month. And that's, you know, that's taxes, insurance, and everything. But that's for a $200,000 house. When I bought my first $200,000 house, my payment was like $1,000, you know, or $1,100. So that doesn't exist anymore. So people are not going to go in and buy something if they know they got to go in and redo the finishes, or, you know, or put that work into it at the higher price.
So Matt, I got a question for you from an agent's perspective. So,
Yeah.
you know, we're investors. Most of us on this call are investors, and, you know, we think we're pretty cool and stuff. But when an agent goes and looks at, or a buyer goes and looks at, or you are showing agent or your buyers houses that have been flipped, what are some of the things that, you know, you're really impressed by with flippers, and what are some of the things that you go, how the hell did they do that? Yeah, you got anything that comes to mind, or just fun stories or anything?
Oh, yeah, there's, the little things do matter. And I think that there's a lot of times that people don't, Nick, I'm gonna pick on Nick for a minute. Nick's finishes are, I can walk into a flip and I know this was a Nick house. Like, I just, because of the finishes, the way it looks, the way it does. I walked into one the other day and I don't know if they just had an extra cabinet or they didn't know what to do with this cabinet or they ordered the wrong size. And I'm in the kitchen and I'm looking and there's a half cabinet just randomly hung there. Like there's supposed to be something underneath it, but there's nothing that goes underneath it. It just out in the middle of nowhere. And, people pick up on that stuff. And so, the other thing that a lot of times they look for is buyers, it's kind of easy when it's a flip house, especially if it's not staged, when you guys pay to have those things staged or your agent stages it for you, that helps out a lot. Because when they walk into a vacant house and everything's new, they pretty much know it's flipped. First thing they always say is, what do you think they're trying to hide? Or what do you think they were trying to hide? And they always look for that, what don't we know about this? And so, there's times where you'll see a really bad patch job on a wall, on a drywall, and they're like, well, something happened here. We know something happened, so that's the kind of stuff I think that they look at. The other thing that we see quite a bit is when someone goes in and does a flip on a house, and they don't look at the systems. They don't, even if the systems are in good working order, take the time to have them cleaned and serviced, or at least wipe them down after the construction's done so you don't have dust all over them, because a lot of buyers have no idea what they're looking at. And there's a lot of agents that don't know what they're looking at either. And so if they walk in and they see a really dirty furnace in the basement, they say, oh man, that's going to need to be replaced. It's probably in good working order, but if you don't clean it up, that's the first thing that they think of. So those are some of the big things that we deal with on a daily basis and get pointed out to us all the time.
Do you represent flippers much, Matt? And if so, do you recommend to your flippers to fill out seller's disclosures or to not fill out seller's disclosures?
So we represent a ton of investors, and we always recommend that they fill out a seller's disclosure. And the reason for that is it's a CYA for them. And there's a lot of times where, if an investor doesn't fill out a seller's disclosure at all, it can leave the buyers, some of that, questions. Well, why didn't they fill one out? Why wouldn't they tell us? And I tell them, be honest, you've gone in and you've fixed everything. You've put the work into it. You've made the house right. Tell them what you know. And if you don't know what the answer is, if you didn't take that basement apart and you don't know what's behind those foundation walls, then don't try to guess, just be upfront with it. And if you've got limited knowledge, make sure that statement is listed on that seller's disclosure that, hey, we've owned this property for less than 6 months. We have limited knowledge on the history of it, and leave it at that. But at least give them something on that seller's disclosure that they can hang their hat on. Dave?
Yeah, Matt, you're spot on with that. It's amazing how they leave that off and think it's a good thing. I take it to the extreme. It's a disclosure, and that means by law we have to disclose. Well, I feel that I have to disclose that is a new roof, and that's new cabinets, and that's new this, and I have a permit number for that. So I use it as a literal marketing document, okay, because my rehabs are brand new. So everything in there, I want them to be aware to their own detriment that that's a brand new roof. And so I put that in it. I put the permit number that I got on there. So I use it literally as a marketing tool to help sell the house. It's not about that they're looking for bad stuff. That's not what the disclosure means. It's not that they're looking for bad things. It's disclose everything you know about the house. So I'll put every, new appliance, I'll list everything out that was brand new on the disclosure document. There's a place and a line and a category for almost everything in the house on there.
And it really does. It's the best way to do it. It does cover you, especially if there was something there that you did go in and remove or mediate or something along those lines. Meth is something you got to disclose for the rest of the life of the house. But when it comes to if you bought the house and it was full of mold, there's a lot of times where people can go back and see old listings or find that information. So if they know you knew about it and you did it right, and you remediated it and it's done, then great. You shouldn't have anything that you're trying to hide. So, we want to make sure that you're protected as much as the consumer. Anybody got anything else?
Man, I could ask you a whole bunch of questions, but I know you got to get going at some point here. So just let us know when you have to go. So,
No, I'm
But,
good. I've got a
I-
few more minutes, so.
Hey, Matt, I got a real quick question if you don't mind. In
Yeah.
terms of the staging and things like that, when a rehabber does an amazing job, you always want to highlight that as comparative to maybe some other work that's out there. And I feel sometimes that staging can kind of cloak that, or hide that, or take away from that. Is that a real thing, or is that something that that's not a thing?
So I definitely, so staging is, I'm a huge proponent of staging. I think staging can help sell a house, every single house. Now, you're 100% right. I have seen some amazing work that you guys have done. And people on this call have done some amazing flips. And however you stage it, whoever you pay to stage it, if your agent does staging for you, you want to make sure that that staging doesn't overshadow the hard work that you put into it. If you put gorgeous floors in there, you don't want to throw an area rug over 90% of the rugs that are in that room. And that's where I think having those conversations with your agent, with the staging companies, and making sure that the stuff that you did that is amazing is highlighted. But also, there's a lot of consumers out there that they don't know that's a luxury vinyl plank floor that's a really expensive. They just see a pretty couch that they know, oh, my couch will fit in here now. So there's a lot of times there's that. So it's not trying to to cover it up. It's more to make it feel like home is what it is. And so I would say every time, if you don't have a staging company or your agent doesn't have a staging company, go out and interview a couple, talk to a few of them, and really utilize them in the future, because I think that's a huge way, a great way to sell your properties.
Hey Matt, in your opinion, what is setting a house on the top as far as a flip goes? What are buyers looking for where they feel like they're willing to pay more than the list price and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, every buyer is different. I think that one thing people are looking for is they're looking for a good finish. They want something that has been done and done right. I see it time and time again where, budgets get tight and there's small details that the seller or that the flipper might overlook, or say, you know what, we can leave that tile in that bathroom. It's not going to take away from it. And that buyer walks through that whole house, and the only thing that they comment on is not everything else that's gorgeous. It's, man, that bathroom tile in the master just looks like it's just dated, So if you're going to take care, there's some things you can skip on and some things you can't, but so they're looking for those finishes. And again, I think that too, they're looking for, something that kind of sets it apart, gives it some character. And you don't need to go all crazy design, you don't need a professional designer to come in and do something. Just give it something that sets it apart from everything else. One thing, most of you guys on here know Casey Samuels, one of our agents and Faster House guys. Casey he did a big project, huge house, turned out great. You know what he did? He put in a dog wash. He put a dog wash in the laundry room, and it was the coolest thing ever. And half of the feedback that came back on that said sellers or the buyers loved the dog wash. And it didn't cost them much of anything. He just tiled in a space where you could wash your dog. And so it was very, very cool. So it doesn't have to be something crazy like that, but it could be, maybe it's the laundry room. You put a cool accent wall in there, or you do something along those lines, some open shelving concepts or something. It's simple. It can be inexpensive, but it sets it apart, and people love that. And don't forget the outsides, guys. Curb appeal is huge, and there's nothing worse than seeing a picture on Maris that the outside just looks like dog crap and the inside is absolutely beautiful, but people don't even get to the inside because they stop looking and because there's no curb appeal. So don't forget that curb appeal on those houses.
Matt, do you got any tips for anybody that's looking for deals and how to use a real estate agent like yourself or somebody on your team to find deals? Are you guys helping many investors find deals right now? And kind of how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so we've been, I think we've probably gotten more deals out of the MLS in the last 3-4 months than we've had in a long time. The deals are out there. I think so many people for so long have been scared that, you know, they have to offer 20,000 over asking price to get anything out of the MLS. Guys, that's done. It's gone. Yeah, certain houses, they're still going for well over. But if there's something that's been sitting out there for 30, 60 days in the MLS, you know, your agent shouldn't be scared to submit an offer for you. I've got a client right now. He's been trying to buy some rental houses in the city, and he wants stuff that's turnkey, ready to go. And there's some of these properties have been sitting for 30, 45 days, and we've been submitting offers. And sometimes the agent comes back and says, not a chance, they're not going to take it. And this weekend we got one that was, you know, it was priced, I think it was priced at like 150, 160. I think we ended up getting it for like 118.9. So, you know, don't be afraid to make those offers. And, you know, most agents can put together an offer for you in 10, 15 minutes and submit it. And guys, we're not afraid to be told no. So, you know, if they say no, we can't do it, great. Let's see if we can come up with a number that they can do it at. And if it doesn't work, doesn't work. If it does, there we go. We got a deal. So make sure that they're, you know, they're putting those offers out there for you guys.
Are most of what you're finding your investor buyers are buying, are they from your typical homeowner, or are you finding anything that's like bank owned these days, or short sales, or HUD properties, or anything like that showing up these days? Or is it mostly just homeowners that you're buying from?
Yeah, it's mostly homeowners. There are a few HUD properties that have showed up. You know, HUD Home Store, if you guys have ever, you know, we used to submit through HUD Home Store all the time on properties back in the day. And I just submitted on one. It was out off Towers Road in St. Charles County. There was one listed. I think they listed it at like 215, 220. You know, most of the investors that were offering on it were somewhere in the 180s on this house. I had an owner occupant that offered 200 on it, and they ended up selling it to an owner occupant for 225. They got $5 grand over asking price on it, you know, for a HUD house. So, but yeah, they're few and far between, but we are seeing them pop up still. So, and your agents can set up searches that just search for bank owned properties. So if you ever want to know what's going in the MLS, it's bank owned. There's a search setting for that. We can set it up and say you only want to see bank owned properties, and that's all you'll get in your search. So if that's something you're looking for, make sure your agent's got you set up on that search. All right. Well, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to have to sneak off. If anybody's got any last questions, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'm going to sneak off of here.
Thank you, Matt. We super appreciate your time and you joining us today.
Absolutely. Well, we always appreciate you guys, and we love writing contracts for Faster Funds as the lender on it. That's for sure. So we do quite a few of those, and they're fun. So
all right.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.
You too.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Well, that's like the end of our structured stuff. I forgot to mention when we started the call that so Faster Funds, we used to do this for all of our approved borrowers every Wednesday at noon. We'd get on here and do case studies. We would bring someone in like Matt to come and chat with us, a variety of things. But with the new year and with the New Buyers Club Facebook group, we decided to open it up to more people. So we do this every week. It lasts typically an hour. If you do not know about the Buyers Club Facebook group, I will have Rachel put it in the comments so you can join. But if there's ever anything that you all would like to see or hear on these calls, don't hesitate to reach out to Brian and I, or put it in the little comment section on the Facebook group or in here, whatever. So that's my little plug for the Buyers Club Facebook group. Brian or Rachel, if you have anything to add to that, feel free. But anyways, now we just basically have 20 minutes left to we're just here as a resource. So I don't know if anyone has any wins they would like to celebrate, if you guys listed anything sold quick, or if you guys have any challenges. Rick, do you have something you would like to say? Oh, sorry, Brian.
I was going to say really quick, would love to take a few minutes for wins, challenges, all that type of stuff. But really quick, I always love people's feedback. So Matt kind of gave his opinion of the state of the market right now. It's at the beginning of the year. I always think, what's everybody else think? So if you would jump in the chat and tell me if you think values are going to go up more than 5% this year in 2024, or if values are going to just kind of stay stable throughout the year, or if you think values are going to go down this year. We're going to have a crash this year. Let's just take an unofficial survey and see what everybody thinks. I'm always curious about that stuff. And while we're doing that, jump in. Anybody got any wins, challenges, anything they want to brainstorm with the group about? Love to hear from people.
Yeah, I had one.
Dave.
So this is like Matt was talking about. This house was also in St. Charles County. We closed on it in late November. And yeah, exactly like what he said. You know, we listed it for 260,000, and we had all multiple offers all over list. And we basically settled at 282. So we listed for 260, sold for 282. And this is a 1,050 square foot house with no garage. It just has a carport, and it does have a basement. And we did finish the basement, but it was only 1,050 square foot, and listed for 260, and appraised, sold, and closed in late November for 282. So Matt's right on with the St. Charles County stuff.
Thanks for sharing, Dave. I'd love to hear wins and love to hear challenges. So thanks for sharing that. Who else got a win, challenge, question?
We just closed on a deal. Brian had a house that I bought in Barnhart that we listed, got it under contract and closes tomorrow. Bought it for 80, put 20 into it, and sold it for 180.
Bought it for 80, put 20 into it, and sold for 180?
And did exactly what Matt said, staged it.
Congratulations, Dave. That's a freaking awesome deal. So you made like what, 60 grand or something on it, give or take?
Yes, sir.
Todd,
Yep,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's because of you guys and the calls and the discussions. But I will say that I'm becoming more and more believing in staging. The house was kind of an offset house. It was unusual, and I didn't know how I was going to stage it. But bringing the company in there to have them stage it gets the buyers an opportunity to see exactly what it would look like if they had their furniture in there, and it gives them an idea of how to put the house together. So, yeah, I was pretty excited over that deal. So it wasn't too bad at all.
And Todd, did you say how long that thing was listed for before it got under contract?
I think we had it listed for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And then I think that was right before Thanksgiving. Then it went under contract, I think, right before or right after Thanksgiving. So yeah. So not a lot in Barnhart.
Well, and
on that one.
I know right where Barnhart is. Is there a town there, or is it more of a country setting of a house? Was it in a subdivision or kind of out by itself?
No, it was off of Highway 61, 67. If you're taking 55 and get off Barnhart, you'd actually go under the interstate and make a left. Get off the interstate and make a left. You go back and you go to the right, and it's actually right across the street from a train track. So you hear the train blowing his horn coming through. So.
Well, it looks like based on the informal survey, more people are thinking the values are going to go up, maybe not dramatically this year, but up somewhat. Maybe a slight increase in values this year is, I think, the general consensus. I think there were 2 people that said maybe flat or down, maybe one flat, a couple minor ups, and a couple big ups. But so sounds like people are generally pretty optimistic this year, which is awesome. I'm excited. Can't wait to see what happens this year. I think it's going to be a good year for flipping. Low inventory always helps out with flipping business. Any other wins, challenges, questions?
I got everything I've got on market sold finally. The 2 houses that I had the deals under contract and then the deals fell apart. where I had originally taken under asking price. Those deals, 2 separate houses, one in Florissant, one in St. Peter's. Both those deals got under contract, fell apart, had to go back on market. The original contracts were both houses were for under list. When I went back on market for both, I got over asking on both houses the second contract around. And now everything I got out there on the market is under contract, about to close, and we got 3 more coming to market in the next 2 weeks. So it worked out good there.
Congrats, Nick. And I got to tell a quick story because Nick called me like a week ago or so, and he said, "Holy shit, Brian, I had this house in St. Peter's. I had it listed like at 229. I accepted this offer like at 226 or something like that. I don't remember exact numbers, Nick. And then like the day before closing, the person backs out, and I put it back on the market. Now this house has been on the market for, I don't know, at least a month, maybe longer.
Maybe.
No, it's not like it has competition or anything. And somebody came in and offered him 240. Over 10 grand, over ask price, after it's been on the market for a while. Isn't it the craziest? Gotta love it when shit like that happens, right?
Absolutely. And it shows what I accepted when we went back on. But that's the confusing part to me, is it had showed, you can look at the listing and you could see that it went under contract for X amount previously. And then even though I fell out, went back on market, they still offered like 12,000 more than what it showed I had accepted. So super confused by that, but I'm not going to ask any questions.
You're not going to give the money back, or,
Oh, I'm just going to say, okay, if you insist. That went well. And I think the market's going to do much better moving into next year. I've already seen a lot of much more. I had so much stuff on the market and it was just so dull. But there's been so much more activity now in the last 2-3 weeks. So I have high hopes for things moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else got a win or a challenge, or should we wrap it up today?
This is Naresh. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is Naresh. Actually, I'm planning to sell. I'm actually selling one of the rental that I had for like almost 4 years now. From North County, it's on Lilac. So it was on market for like almost 1.5 months, but we got down the rent rate a couple of times, and now we are under contract, and it's going to close on 10th this month. So really excited there.
Yay, that'll be nice to have that one off your plate. And you said you owned it for 4 years and now you're selling it?
Right. Yeah, it was like almost 4 years. So it was a great rental, but thing is at that the location, getting the good tenants is very hard, and all the times having issues with the tenants and all that stuff. So I thought like, okay, sell that, and yeah. But numbers wise, back in like 4 years ago, it was like less than half the price, and now So
Yeah, I feel like that it's good that house has seen so much appreciation over the last 4 years, and it's a great time to kind of clean up your portfolios. And if you have a house that you don't love or is a pain, it's a great time to sell it and improve your rental portfolio.
All right. Yeah, that's why I bought one from you guys on Maryland Heights. I want to keep it as a rental. Yeah.
Yeah, that Maryland Heights house will be a great rental for you.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
All right, any other wins or challenges or just questions? All right, well, we are going to go ahead then and wrap up this call for the day. But we will be back next Wednesday at noon. You can join us on the Zoom link or on Facebook Live in the Facebook group. So, Brian, you have anything else you want to?
I just appreciate everybody that's helped out with we launched the Facebook group, Buyers Club Facebook group over the last week. So thank you everybody that's participated in any way, trying to just provide an outlet for our community to stay in contact with each other throughout the month. So appreciate anybody through sharing wins, challenges, anything in or questions at any point in that Facebook group. So let's and encouraging other people you know that might be interested in it to share it with them. I would appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your guys' day and week, and hopefully we see you next Wednesday.
Hi, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.